For any of you that have tried parallel parking, wouldn't you just prefer if you could pull up next to it, give it a shove, and in it goes? It'd be so much easier. Maybe with cars in the future we'll be able to do that, but until then we need to pull up next to the car and then reverse back into the gap. You may be somebody that's already passed your test and just hate doing this manoeuvre. Or you could be learning to drive and trying to master the skill of getting into the space ready for your test. Reversing into the space is definitely easier than driving forward. When driving in between two cars on the side of the road, you need a much bigger gap. So if you were asked to perform this on test, you would be pulled up on the side of the road before the car that you're going to use. It's usually just one random car, like the white car in front. The examiner would say to you that they'd like you to go and pull up next to that white car, stop, and then reverse park behind it. They'll ask you to finish reasonably close to the curb and to make sure that you fit this in within a 2-car length gap, as if there's a car behind. Depending on how wide the road is, you might have to carry this manoeuvre out while people are waiting. If that was to happen, don't lose your cool. Now imagine when you pass your test if you're looking for a space on the side of the road to park in. Keep an eye on your mirrors and make sure you indicate to the left to let the people know behind you're pulling up next to the car. On this video I'm going to show you a basic routine and then I'm going to tell you what you need to do if it doesn't go quite right. If you were a robot, it would go in perfectly every single time. You're not, so we're going to look at ways that we can tweak it if it doesn't go quite right. Now, my car is a Peugeot 208. I've got a reasonable length bonnet. This routine is based on that car, so if you had a longer or shorter car, you might have to tweak it. Now, I get my students to set up their side mirrors in a certain way. I adjust the mirror so that the car is in the first third of the mirror next to the car. Get them to adjust the height so that they can just see the tip of my passenger door handle. By setting up the mirror that way, the routine that I'm now going to use works well. So to start with, we're going to go and pull up next to the car. Take your time with the lineup. Getting the foundations right before we start is going to really help us. Roll up next to it, and then what you want to do is just let the back overhang the car by about, 30 centimetres, half a metre. In a minute I'll show you what that's going to look like from inside your car. If your bonnet's a bit longer, you might want to overhang a little bit more. While you're lining it up, look over your left shoulder and it should look like this when you're overhanging. So this is roughly our starting point, just maybe under a metre away from the car, but don't start too close. So let's already talk to you about problems that you might have. If you have started a bit close, I would overhang my car a little bit more before I start the turning. If you start way too far away from the car, I'll be honest, this routine won't work. If you went too far and forgot to overhang, don't worry, you can put it into reverse and reverse back till it is. Now, if you're on a wide road and there's cars coming towards you, but they don't interfere with you because the road's so wide, you won't need to put an indicator on. But if you're going to have to do this on a road where it's not wide enough for the vehicles to get past, then put your indicator onto the left to let them know what you're up to. If the road isn't wide enough, they're going to have to sit there and admire your fabulous parking. And think about all other road users that may need your signal. Now, if you're pulling up and it's a flat piece of road, just keep your foot brake on. If it means that you're going to have to reverse uphill, put your handbrake on. Because then you're obviously going to do a backward hill start. Put your car into reverse. Now, observation checks before and during the manoeuvre are very important. These would involve looking over your right blind spot. That way you'll see if anything's coming from beside you. Looking up towards the front to see if any oncoming cars are going to affect you. The first part of the manoeuvre is going to be angling it in towards the left. And when we do that, the front of the car is going to swing out to the right. This would affect oncoming traffic. If the width of the road was extremely wide and you wouldn't affect the oncoming cars in any way, then we could proceed with the manoeuvre. If it's not that wide and cars could get through, we wouldn't be able to start this part of the manoeuvre. If the road wasn't wide enough for oncoming cars to come through, then we would do the manoeuvre while they're waiting. Then turn and look over your left shoulder and look out of that window when you start the manoeuvre. Now, one of the things I say to my students is imagine you're trying to make an advert for L'Oreal hair products. You'd be flicking your hair from one side to the other. That's the way your head needs to be moving while you're carrying out this manoeuvre, where you can see if anybody turns up that stops you from continuing. So once we've looked around and we know that nothing's going to affect us, we can start. So when we start the first part of the manoeuvre, we're going to be steering the wheel to the left to take the back of the car in towards the space. Because we're moving backwards, we need to make sure that we don't go if there's people coming from behind. And unless it's a huge wide road, you can't do this with cars coming towards you. So basically you're giving way to both sets of traffic. So once we've looked around and we know it's all good to go, we're going to take our car backwards, looking over the left shoulder, checking all the way around while we're doing it, and we're going to go back to about a 45-degree angle. And this is how you'll do that. So while looking over the left shoulder, we're going to make our way back in, and we're going to turn the steering wheel one full rotation to the left as we start to move. This will make the back of the car go back towards the left. And this is what our front wheels will be doing, curving that car back inwards. Remember, keep looking all the way around while you're doing this in case anybody turns up that makes you have to stop. So while you're looking out of the back window, also have a good look through your left back side window. While doing this, just keep that wheel on that one full rotation to the left. Don't move it, just watch that car make its way back in towards the curb. While looking around while you're doing this manoeuvre, keep an eye on pedestrians that also may make you have to stop. If any pedestrians are walking along the pavement right where you're reversing, you might need to pause just while they walk past your car. Now, while you're making your way back, keep an eye on your left side mirror too. As you move back closer to the curb, start to see this pizza slice shape. That shape is between the curb, the bottom of this mirror, and the side of our car. Can you see that forming? Hopefully you can see that, but don't panic, I'm going to show you two photos. We're going to take that back until we get a diet size pizza slice. So here you can see the big slice. That's most probably not going to be close enough to the curb. Here's our smaller slice. Once you get to that point, stop. So once you're at that point, you should look at about a 45-degree angle. At this point, we've done enough angling towards the left. We're now going to have a quick look all the way around the car again to make sure it's safe to carry on. Now, the next part of the manoeuvre is going to be steering to the right. If you're carrying out this manoeuvre on test, you're just using the one random car with no car behind you. If anybody turns up from behind while you're doing this next part of the manoeuvre, you must stop. While you're steering right on the next part, the back of the car will start to go to the right, but the front of the car will swing back into the left. So now you don't affect the oncoming cars. In fact, you're helping them because you're taking the front of the car out of their way. But if you're carrying this out on test with a car behind, like the white one in this picture, it wouldn't really matter if a car was coming behind because the white car would protect you. You wouldn't actually be reversing towards those cars coming from behind. In reality, when you've passed your test, this is actually when you would use the parallel park manoeuvre. Just to recap, if you haven't got a car like the white car protecting you, you will have to always give way to the cars coming up from behind. To be honest, this is more likely to be the reality on test, just one random car and no car protecting you. So once you're at this point, you're going to check all the way around the car, and now what you're going to do is mirror the steering. You're going to turn the steering wheel 2 turns to the right and turn that quite quickly. Do that while you're moving slowly backwards. It will look like this. We'll be looking out of that back window, checking all the way around at the same time. This is the crucial part where you must go slow. Keep an eye on your left side mirror, and you want to see the edge of that curbstone all the time. If you can see the edge of the curbstone, it's all good, and you're going to make your way back until it looks parallel like this. Now, you can have as many looks as you like in that left side mirror as long as you're remembering to look all the way around at the same time. That's a lot of multitasking, so go very slow. Straighten your wheel once you're happy. 1 turn to the left. Now, keep an eye on the front end of your car and the back end of the other person's car while you're manoeuvring, just to make sure you don't hit it. Turn the steering wheel an extra half turn to the right if you feel that you're starting to lose the edge of the curb while you're making your way back in. This is one of the tweaks that you might have to carry out if it's not looking quite right. Keeping the edge of the curb in your mirror means it's looking good. So eventually it should start to look like this, and when it does, straighten the wheel. If after doing your 2 turns to the right, you see the edge of the curb but actually quite a bit of road, and it's going too far away, so turn it to full left lock, and move the car very slowly back till you lose the edge of the curb and stop. Make it that we lose the curb rather than seeing the pizza slice. If when doing this steering to the left that you don't affect any oncoming cars because you might need to stop. Once we've got to this point, we're going to steer the wheel to full right lock very quickly with the car very slow. Carrying out our L'Oreal looking the whole time, make our way back until we can see ourselves looking parallel to the curb. At this point it should drop in quite nicely, and once it gets to that, all you need to do is straighten up the wheel, nice and quick with the car very slow. Once you've finished, neutral and handbrake. Beginning of the video I told you about the fact that it had to finish within a 2-car length gap. At any point you feel that you're going to start going over that during the manoeuvre, stop. We've just talked about 2 ways of tweaking the manoeuvre while your car was still making its way back in. Now let's look at other ways that you might need to tweak it. Thought while moving back that you're going to hit the curb, stop, put the car into first gear, check all the way around. Make sure you wait for any cars on the main road that you might affect while doing this because your car could swing out. Move forward very slowly, turning your wheel very quickly towards the left lock. Move very slowly and watch the front of the car as you move forward start to come in towards the left. While we're slowly moving forward, we want to start seeing the edge of that curb like this. But don't stare at the mirror and then hit the car in front. Once it's looking good, stop, pop it back into reverse gear. Make sure you check all the way around the car again. While looking out of the back window, using the side mirror to guide you, adjust the steering wheel as needed. Take us back to a nice finishing position. As to which way and how much you need to steer will all depend on what it looks like in the side mirror. If you look on this section here, the side mirror is going to help you see how little or much you need to steer. Now when carrying out a parallel park, I would always advise not to try to do a park into a gap less than 1.5 car lengths. The 2-car length gap given as the requirements on test is actually quite generous. If on test you started to feel that you were getting close to that 2-car length, stop before you do, because if you go over 2 car lengths you'll fail. Pop it back into first gear, look all the way around the car again, move forward slowly and adjust the wheel as needed to finish off the manoeuvre. Just to recap, you can take a lifeline of moving forward if you were going to hit the curb or if you knew you were going to go over the 2-car length gap. If you bang into the curb or mount the curb, obviously you would fail your test. The more parallel parks you do, the better understanding you'll get. You got to work out what corrections you can do while you're actually making your way back, when you need to stop and correct it going forward. Be very careful if you're carrying out this manoeuvre on a road where there's cars parked on both sides of the road. Keep a close eye on the cars parked on the right so that the right-hand side of your car doesn't hit theirs. If this was to happen, you may need to tweak your steering to avoid hitting them. First of all, remember that if you want the car to go towards the curb, pull the steering wheel towards the curb. If you want the back of the car to move away from the curb, pull the steering wheel away from the curb. Don't rush the manoeuvre. If somebody turns up and you're having to do it while they're watching, just take your time. If you keep rushing it, you'll be moving backwards and forwards to try to get it in, and it will take you longer in the long run. Once you've passed your test, keep practicing this manoeuvre regularly. You want to know that when you have to use it, that you know exactly what you're doing. I've spoken to people that have been driving for over 20 years and avoid parallel parking. Always reverse back into the smaller gaps rather than driving forward. You need much bigger gaps to be able to drive forward in because the back wheels don't follow the same route as the front. Driving forward into a small space will result in the left wheel mounting the pavement. This is the only way that you'd be able to get it into that small gap. Apart from it being unsafe, you'll damage your car. If you're doing this manoeuvre on a road where it cambers down to the left on the side of the road, your pizza slice will arrive early. Compensate, get to the pizza slice and then move back a little bit more. If the left-hand side of the road tilts upwards, then what you'll need to do is have a bigger slice of pizza. If you're having to do this on a hill where going back into the space is going to be going downhill, that's easy. No clutch control will be needed. You'll just leave the clutch on the floor and control the speed with the brake. If you're reversing into a space on a hill but you're having to reverse back up the hill, then this is trickier. Now when you pull up next to the car that you're going to reverse park behind, you're going to have to stop, put your handbrake on and start with a backward hill start. When you arrive at the pizza slice, try to use clutch control to hold the car still rather than putting the foot brake on and then having to do another hill start. You can just momentarily balance on the biting point while you have your observation checks and then start to move back again. Now, if you're one of my students watching this video, we'll be discussing this more on your lesson. If you're not one of my students, don't change the routine that your instructor's currently teaching you. Instructors can use different routines for this. Saying that, you might find some of the tweaking points that we've spoken about helpful. And if you're somebody that's already passed your test and you just hate doing this manoeuvre, try my technique and get out and practice it. If you have any questions about this manoeuvre, just drop your question in the comments. I really hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, like and subscribe for some more of our driving videos.